This is an unbelievable story of cave diving and survival. A diver got separated from his teammates while exploring an uncharted section of a cave. He got lost in an area that had never been mapped before. Fortunately, he found an air pocket at the end of a passage and waited there for rescue. However, the people outside believed he was already dead and decided to call off the search. Unaware of this, the diver continued to wait inside the cave. So what was his final fate? Located in Gauteng Province, South Africa, the Sterkfontein Caves are not only a complex dolomite cave system, but also a prehistoric site of great importance to paleoanthropology. The cave system reaches depths of up to 60 meters. Today's story unfolds in the western area of Milner Hall, a labyrinth of flooded tunnels, underground lakes, and hidden air pockets. Without a guideline, it's easy to get lost. The cross-sectional map shown is not entirely accurate, as many submerged sections remain unexplored to this day. It serves only as a visual reference. There are 11 known cave entrances, the largest located in the south and east. Previously, access was loosely regulated, allowing tourists and enthusiasts to freely enter. On September 29, 1984, 4 friends drove to the central entrance. Nuno Gomes, 33 years old, Peter Verhoesel, 29 years old, and 2 others, Malcolm and John. They were all members of the Wits Cave Diving Club. Among them, Nuno was the most experienced, later becoming a legendary diver with 2 world records. In contrast, Peter had the least experience in cave diving. Their goal that day was to survey the deepest point of Milner Hall. They planned to dive from Milner Lake entrance, take measurements along the way, and return via the same route. The entire dive was expected to last 1 hour. At 10:45 a.m., they entered the cave. The first dry section took about 30 minutes to traverse before they reached Milner Lake. John remained on the shore to handle logistics and communications, while Nuno, Malcolm, and Peter submerged. Nuno had visited the site twice the previous month and laid a guideline along the main path. The trio dove and collected data. The tunnel was relatively short, around 120 meters, so they reached the end within 40 minutes. At the end was a small air pocket about 2 meters wide, where they took a short break before heading back. Nuno led, Malcolm followed, and Peter went last. Under normal conditions, the return trip to rejoin John would take only 10 to 15 minutes, but things quickly unraveled. Perhaps lulled into complacency by the calm dive, Peter, bringing up the rear, became fascinated by the small holes and cavities lining the tunnel walls. He repeatedly paused to examine them. A golden rule of cave diving is never lose sight of the guideline. Nuno noticed Peter falling behind and flashed his light to signal him forward. Peter responded and caught up. Yet moments later, Peter stopped again near a side tunnel, trying to peek inside. Nuno quickly swam back and signaled him to stay with the group. Peter signaled okay and followed. Minutes later, Nuno and Malcolm passed through a narrow corridor and emerged at Milner Lake. But Peter never surfaced. Assuming he'd stopped to explore again, Nuno, now frustrated, swam back. Even after retracing their entire route, there was no sign of Peter. Malcolm joined the search. They scoured every crevice and chamber for 4 hours to no avail. Running low on air, they had no choice but to surface and call for help. By evening, police rescue divers took over the operation. At this point, it was already 2 a.m. the next day. Nuno and Malcolm had been diving since 11 a.m. the previous morning, exhausted and hypothermic. The water was murky, reducing visibility to 0. For safety reasons, police called off the search and declared Peter dead. Nuno and the others strongly protested, arguing that Peter could still be alive in an air pocket. Authorities refused to listen and banned any further diving until visibility improved. As it turned out, Nuno's theory was correct. Peter was still alive, at least at the time. On his way back, Peter had been drawn into a side tunnel. After entering, he either lost the guideline or willingly let go. Disoriented in the silt-clouded water, he stumbled upon an air pocket and decided to wait for rescue. Around him was fresh water, but there was no food. The cave temperature was about 3 degrees C, and his wetsuit offered little protection. Hypothermia threatened. No one knows how long he waited, cold and starving. Eventually, he tried crawling upward through other tunnels seeking escape, but all led to dead ends. He returned to the air pocket and began banging his tank on the rocks periodically, hoping someone might hear. If there were any rescue personnel nearby, they definitely would have heard it. But this action was certainly futile because in the following days, the police did nothing at all. Time passed. On November the 3rd, 36 days after Peter's disappearance, Authorities reopened the cave, assuming his body had long decomposed. As soon as the ban was lifted, Nuno and his friends rushed back. Still barred from diving, they searched the dry upper levels instead. Miraculously, they found a narrow passage leading to water. After 3 days of widening the opening, they squeezed through and found footprints, Peter's. They followed the trail to a lakeside area, and there they found him. Peter was dead. His body was emaciated, curled up in a fetal position. Clearly, he had starved. Air still remained in his tanks, but the cylinders were dented from constant pounding against the rocks. Nearby, he had scrawled a message in the dirt. "I love you, Cheryl and Ma." Cheryl was his wife. They had been married only 2 months earlier. The police were notified. Recovery took 6 hours. The autopsy stunned everyone. Based on decomposition and beard length, forensic experts estimated Peter died after October 20th, meaning he had survived over 3 weeks in the cave. This borders the human survival limit without food, even with water. One diver had once surfaced at a vent just 30 miles from where Peter was. If they had shouted loudly enough, might they have heard each other? That question still haunts those left behind. The tragedy continues to weigh heavily. If Peter hadn't let go of the guideline, this would never have happened. If the police had responded appropriately, he might have lived. In the end, the root cause was Peter himself. His disregard for safety led to one of the most painful deaths imaginable. After the incident, local authorities banned all cave diving and halted further exploration. The ban remains in effect to this day. The cave has since become a paid tourist attraction with entrance costing 100 Rand. If you ever have the chance, go visit.